So, hi everyone. I'm Dana Taylor, Programs and Partnerships Manager here at National PTA. I'm responsible for providing valuable programs, resources, and engaging opportunities to PTAs and families across the country. I work on a wonderful team devoted to providing PTAs access to engaging, educational, and fun opportunities that inspire, recognize, and impact all students and their families. Danny Carver is also joining us for this workshop, along with two awesome PTA leaders that ran STEM Plus Families programs this year. They are Terry Ackerman and Kari Coppinger, and Danny will be leading a PTA leader chat with them later during this workshop. Danny, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Like Dana said, my name is Danny. I am here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I am a teacher, and I also serve on the Programs Committee for National PTA. I'm happy to be here today.
All right. Thanks, Danny. So we have some great information to share with you all, and we hope you enjoy this workshop. At the end of the presentation, you're going to find my contact information so that you can reach out to me for more information and support. Going to the next slide. So hopefully you're joining this session so that you can hear more about the STEM Plus Families Initiative and the resources we have for you to support the work that you're doing in your school community. The goal of today's session is to definitely equip you with the information you need to run a very successful STEM Plus Families program. We're going to do a brief overview of the STEM Plus Families Initiative, cover some important family engagement tenets, and show you some great resources we have to support your STEM program. And last but not least, which we think is the icing on the cake, is that we'll end with a conversation with Terry and Kari, who, as I mentioned, ran STEM Plus Families programs this past school year. So they're going to give you insight on how the programs went for them and their school community, and they're also going to offer suggestions and reassure you that these programs can be done for any school community. Oops. All right, so as mentioned, this workshop is all about STEM. STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math is a subject matter that provides so many ways to make it fun, engaging, and at the same time, educational. As you're planning your program year, you might consider running a STEM program, especially if you're in a school community where students struggle with math and science, or maybe you're in a school community where students have low test scores in math and science. Maybe you've already ran a science program. So we've definitely heard that it's a huge effort and it takes an all hands on deck approach to making sure that you are running a great program. So here are some reflection points for PTAs to consider who are thinking about running STEM Plus Families programs. And these are some things that you can think about and consider. So just reflect on these for a second. The other consideration point that is not included here, but is very important, especially as we think about the offerings and the programs that we offer our PTA leaders, is were families engaged in the activities together in the STEM Plus Families program, in the STEM program that you ran. So it's very important for us that in any opportunities or programs that you provide for your school community, that there is definitely family engagement involved. All right, so what is STEM Plus Families and why did we get here? So as you all may know, there are plenty of reports out there that point to the fact that STEM careers in the United States are growing faster than other fields. And the growth has really created a situation where there is a high demand for quality STEM professionals, but the supply of STEM workers is very low. And this is especially true among underrepresented groups like persons of color and women. So through our efforts, Through the STEM Plus Families Initiative, we really hope to increase access to STEM education careers, especially among underrepresented youth. And we do that by developing, evaluating, and sharing with our large PTA community effective ways to inform families and engage families in STEM experiences. And this is all while working with our community partners to also improve access to STEM in school and community learning environments. Our STEM Plus Family program delivers access to hands-on exposure to STEM. And again, we want to engage families and inspire students to pursue STEM careers and career opportunities in the STEM fields. And our vision is that every student can have access to high quality STEM education, and every family is equipped to guide STEM education choices and career pathways for children. And that's regardless of where the child or family lives, regardless of their ethnicity, and regardless of their race or gender. And to meet the rapidly growing demand for STEM professionals and developing the next generation of leaders, we wholeheartedly believe that it's important to help students and families build the necessary competencies and skills to pursue STEM degrees and careers. As I mentioned, family engagement is paramount to this. We believe that families play an essential role in helping students navigate educational choices and put them on the path towards a fulfilling STEM career. We believe that families are also the link to enrichment opportunities, as well as influencers of students' perception of what is possible for their future. So throughout our partnerships that you see here, we partner with Bayer, Mathnasium, and Huntington Ingalls to offer programming for PTAs. These are opportunities for PTAs to host science festivals, math nights, and engineering design challenges, which we affectionately call Propelling Our World. And so we want to give a shout out to our sponsors for allowing us to offer these great programs to PTAs across the country. One of the best parts about these events that we've heard is that true family engagement takes place. So PTA leaders are able to see students and their parents or caretakers being able to participate in fun, hands-on, and shared STEM experiences. So I mentioned our Science Festival programming. That is a program that helps kids explore science through Bayer's curriculum called Making Science Make Sense. Our Math Night program is all about kids exploring math at their own levels through Mathnasium's games and activities. And really, we've heard that for the Math Night program, it's a really good program because it helps take away the fear for parents and caregivers as far as parents, knowing what kind of math their student is doing. So it removes that difficulty for families to be able to engage with their child in the activities. And then we have our newest program, which I mentioned, Propelling Our World. And this program allows families to work together and problem solve through engineering design challenges. And it's an opportunity to educate and expose children to the skilled trade careers. And in addition to that, which I haven't mentioned, is that we also have STEM at home activities. And these include kit ideas that PTA leaders and families can use at home. So all of our programs, the programs that I just mentioned and the opportunities that I just mentioned, can supplement the learning taking place in your school community. These events empower kids of all backgrounds to become interested in STEM education and careers, as I mentioned. And also the goal is to equip parents with an opportunity to have more conversations with their kids about STEM. So we're very proud of the work that our PTA leaders do to make these programs come alive for their school communities. And next, what I want to do is show you all the amazing resources that we have available for you all to use as you plan your programs. All right. So say you're thinking about, what you're going to do this upcoming school year. You've assessed what kind of supports your school community needs this year. Again, you could have reflected on the fact that because school, maybe, your school was not a school that was fully in session this past year, there is really an effort to ensure that the students get a lot of the education that may have been missed from this past school year. And you determine that you want to enhance the science education that's going on in the school. You're like, well, I know our students struggled with science this past school year. I really think we want to go ahead and run a STEM Plus Families program. So really, what we want you to do is think about that. And if you do believe that a STEM program is going to be a good program for you to do and run in your school this year, then definitely would want you to consider running a STEM Plus Families program. We do want to point out to you some strategies that you can use to ensure that you're planning programs with families in mind. The constant theme here is family engagement and making sure that your families are engaged. And so National PTA has developed what we call 4 I's in transformative engagement. So that includes inclusive, individualized, integrated, and impactful. What we're going to do is look at the 3rd I, which is integrated. And in the general programs workshop that we offered for this convention, we talked to PTA leaders about how to identify the needs of your school community that is inclusive of all families. So if you hadn't had a chance to check out that workshop, I do believe that we're making all of the workshops available to watch later after the convention wraps up. Oops, let me go back a second. All right, sorry about that, you guys. So here are some key components to taking an integrated approach to planning your program. So this, excuse me, involves including teachers and asking teachers for their input. This is before programming, during programming, and after your STEM program. So it's that continuous engagement of school teachers in your school community. Also, what's important is to connect the event to the curriculum. And that means you can create activities that draw upon what the students are learning in the classroom. Another tenet of this I is that you also want to think about how you can share with families how they can continue learning at home. And so for the STEM Plus Families initiative, one way that you can do that is offer additional resources like our STEM at Home kits and activities, or you can maybe focus on offering books to the families in your school community that might be focused on STEM, or again, helping to extend that learning to make STEM connections for students and families. So now we want to show you, as I mentioned already, the resources that we have available for you all. There are robust resources available that are free of charge online. You can access these resources. They're related to planning, promoting, hosting, and evaluating your program. The resources are really comprehensive and aim to help make sure your PTA doesn't have to start your program from scratch or recreate the wheel. And the newest resources we have cover offerings that your PTA can execute from home. So the resources that we have are continuously approved upon year after year based on your feedback. So we do make sure that we incorporate any suggestions and feedback that you have into updating our program materials on a yearly basis. The resources include everything from how to determine volunteer roles, how to successfully and effectively promote your program to various audiences, and how to facilitate an engaging program for all families in your school community. I also want to mention that we have a calendar that can help you plan. That calendar is available at pta.org/events. we'll provide that information in the chat for you. And then also please look out for a comprehensive programs calendar that we're going to publish later this year for the next school year that you can use. As a PTA member, these materials are definitely a member benefit. So please be thinking about that because you're a member of National PTA. These resources are available to you, and you do have access to these resources. The resources have been designed in partnership with National PTA. As I mentioned, we get local PTA feedback on our resources and materials, and we also have content area experts that work on our materials as well. So we have everything that you need, not only to run a successful program, but also run a program that supports active and transformative family engagement. All right, so I want to show you two of our popular resources. So this is an event planning checklist for PTA leaders to use. It basically maps out and gives you things to do as far out as 8 weeks before your event. So it basically just like backtracks and gives you tips and items to work on leading up to the date of your event. And then another example that I provided for you all is a PTA guide. And this is a guide that you can use to host your program. And it's a guide from beginning to end that maps out everything, all the recommendations we make for you to execute your program. In addition to that, we do have demonstration videos as well. So these demo videos highlight, excuse me, the videos highlight STEM activities. And so we have one video here that's related to our Science Festival program. And the other video here is related to our Propelling Our World program. So just give me 1 second. I'm gonna attempt to play one of the videos for you all.
I didn't see you there. Hey, fellow STEM engineers. My name's Jessica. I'm a learning scientist, and I've been cooking up something special for you for your event tonight. You want to see what it is? It's my specialty. The engineering design process. Now, from the other videos, you know a little bit about what this is, but let's dive deeper in this. So, let's start with one of my favorite activities that I've also been cooking up for you. It's a cookie bridge. So, as we know, as STEM engineers, the engineering design process is a way to solve real-world problems. And what better place to do that in your own home? So one of the activities you and your family and teammates are going to work on is a cookie bridge. So let's get started. Let's talk about your materials first. And we need to define what the problem is. So within this activity, we need to make a bridge out of cookies. So the materials that I have here are literally just the things that I have in my house. My husband and I, we love Chips Ahoy chewy cookies. We also love the sandwich cream cookies. My favorite is the shortbread, but you can use anything you have already in your kitchen. So our challenge is to either take one set of cookies and make a freestanding bridge. So thinking about that, we have to start understanding and looking at background information to figure out what do bridges look like. So as a team, talk about what bridges look like. Start to make a model with that. You can start sketching things, look on the internet, and I'm sure everyone has at least gone across a bridge on their car, or maybe you've seen it over on an airplane, but this is the best part. In the engineering design process, we have to work as a team to look at the materials that we have and start to figure out ways to solve this problem. So the best way to do that is to just dive in. But before I do that, I had to look at what I had in my cabinet, in my pantry. So I know I have my cookies. The other materials I need is a cup. because in this challenge, when you make your bridge, it has to be able to hold the weight of a cup with milk. So parents, full disclosure, make sure you have some paper towels on hand. I would suggest doing this potentially in your kitchen because it gets a little messy. So once I have thought about what my bridge might look like, I want to start to experiment a little bit. I want to start solving the problem by maybe starting to, after I made my design on paper, or maybe I looked it up on the internet, I want to start to actually build. So with your team, you can use the same type of cookies, and you want to think about a bridge. If you look down below, this model is already starting to bend. If I were to make my bridge longer, that cup of milk is going to fall off. So this is the great thing about when you make your model. The next thing you want to do is you want to test this model. I have a cup that has no milk in it, so I can test it just to make sure that no milk spills all over the floor. So the great thing about this is you can use the same type of cookies. I could even use a different type of cookie for more of a challenge. But the goal with this is to come up with many different ways to communicate with each other and talk about how maybe if this model's not working, maybe you need to fix it, which is one of the best parts of the engineering design process. And this is the part where you want to make sure you don't skip. If it falls apart, come up with solutions on how to fix it. So,
all right. So as you can see, that is a demo video for the Cookie Bridge engineering design activity that's a part of our Propelling Our World program. So that is actually a demonstration video that you can use as a PTA leader to show or distribute through your school community as part of the Propelling Our World program.
So don't go by just what I'm doing because
There we go. All right. So as I mentioned, we have plenty of resources for you to use as PTA if you choose to run a science festival or a mathnasium or a Propelling Our World program in your school community this upcoming school year. As I mentioned, we have templates, checklists, demo videos, everything that you need. You can use these materials at school, at home, or even in your community, not just talking about your school community, in your community, in your neighborhood. We have what you need to get started or enhance what you already have planned for a STEM program. The resources are here for you. Again, it's a PTA leader benefit, so make sure that you use them. And the materials are available for any PTA. It doesn't matter what level your PTA is at, the materials are here for you to use. So as I mentioned, there are so many resources. I did not have time to go over each and every one with you all. Certainly check out the STEM Plus Families webpage on the National PTA webpage. I will send you the link to the webpage in the chat so you have it. Now what I'm going to do is hand it over to Danny so that she can chat with Terry and Kari, who are awesome PTA leaders.
First, I have Terry. Terry is a PTA leader at Leestown Middle School, PTSA in Kentucky. Her youngest is a rising 7th grader. Leestown Middle School has grades 6th through 8th, and the school has a pre-engineering program. Here is some demographic information about Leestown Middle School, PTSA. The population is 1,030. Title I school, and it's 65%. 65% of the students qualify for free and reduced lunch. And our next PTA leader is Kari. Kari is a PTA leader at Hollow Hills Fundamental PTA. It's a K-12 through kinder through 6th grade school in California. And the school has a special emphasis on STEAM. They add the A in there, and they have that STEAM curriculum. Here is some demographic information about Hollow Hills Fundamental PTA. The population is 661, and 18% of students qualify for free and reduced lunch. All right, so let's chat about what we did this year. Well, you, what you did this year. Tell us about your interest in the STEM plus families and what program you ran this year.
So our school, Leestown Middle School, participated in the STEM plus Families Propelling Our World program, which focused on STEM activities as a way to explore and introduce careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. And this program was a really great fit for our school because we have both a pre-engineering program and we also have an agri-science program. So it was a way to bring activities into the home and give students and their families a chance to explore, to do some fun activities, and also read about careers in these areas at their own pace, and hopefully increase awareness about the career opportunities open to them.
Awesome. Thank you. Kari?
So Hollow Hills has a STEAM, as you said, it's the science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. We have a STEAM focus at our school and have an annual, for the last 2-3 years, an annual STEAM night that we do where we invite families to come and do projects with the teachers, and the families get a sense of some of the things that the students are doing in their daily classwork anyway with the STEAM focus. So I was really interested in doing the STEAM Plus Families Science Festival because I felt like it was something that we could still do. We could build upon what we'd already done, but we could use the resources available from National PTA to make it work for this at-home portion and this pandemic portion of our lives right now. And I was really excited that we were going to be able to do something with our students and our teachers in a little bit of a different model. So I loved all the resources that were available that helped us to build on something that we have a tradition of and a history of, but in a new way.
Awesome. Thank you. Alrighty. So in planning your STEM program and thinking about taking an integrated approach, talk to us about the approach you took to ensure that your program was integrated.
So we consulted with our teachers who were, of course, busier this year than any other year and swamped with the extra energy required to teach virtually. And then we provided the kits for families that included all the materials that the items needed for the activities at their own pace at home. And so the children, the parents could come pick up kits, and we made them available so that they could take them home. And we used the instructional handouts and also the video, the video we saw earlier that provided by National PTA, but we also condensed the handout information into a shorter version, and we translated that into Spanish and French for parents who are non-English speaking. And so in the hopes that would increase the engagement and the opportunities for families to enjoy the materials together. So, and then our students also created, a couple of students created their own short video, which was posted on our YouTube channel, and they used the materials provided in the kits. And so I think that was a lot of fun because then students could watch the activities being done with the materials in their kits and could do them along with the video or not, or at their own pace. So.
Awesome. Yeah. Teacher tired is like a whole new level this year for sure. And I really enjoyed hearing that the kids got to make videos. That's really neat. And just takes it to another level of getting the students involved in their learning as well and getting them excited about it. Kari, would you like to add?
Yeah, I was concerned about that, like putting one more thing on our staff. But I went to the principal first and did some coalition building with him, and he was all for it. And we knew exactly which teachers to talk to that would have the capacity and the heart to do it. And so a first grade teacher and a sixth grade teacher. And then we have our PTA and our school together fund a collaboratory or makerspace on our campus, which students rotate through. And so, of course, we brought that teacher, docent, we call her, in as well. And so especially the three teachers and I, we were the planning committee, and it was great that we had an integrated PTA and teacher team from the get-go to make this happen. I also found that the more people, I didn't bring in a whole lot of people, but the more people that I did bring in to say, hey, let's do this together, they brought resources and people too, and they had ideas. So for instance, one of our teachers knows our district PR person, and through that connection, we were able to use their Zoom account so that we could do a much larger session than when we would have been able to do otherwise. So that was a really great connection. Another way that we integrated others into the planning was that we connected with a community speaker. We kicked off our event with a speaker, and it just so happens that the recent Ingenuity helicopter that took flight on Mars was built here in our town in Simi Valley, with one of the engineers being a student that went through our school system from K through 12. And so Sarah Langberg is her name, and she joined us on Zoom and was dynamic, and the kids and the parents, families loved hearing from somebody who is in this field, engineering, in an engineering field, but also like a hometown girl, and so that connection was phenomenal, and it really added a lot to our experience.
That's awesome. Reaching out into your community for people to help and kind of get everyone excited, kind of like a hometown celebrity, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
In fact, we have some tentative plans to have her come on campus when we can do on campus things again. We have some tentative plans, and I think she's going to be received like a rock star.
Yes, definitely. That is so cool. Awesome. All right, ladies. Were there any successes that you would love to share with everyone?
Well, we had a lot of positive feedback. We had positive feedback both from teachers, students, parents who participated in the program with their students. And I think that fostered a deeper connection and more of a visibility for what our PTSA wants to do for students and families in our school community. So I think that was a really positive aspect and positive outcome of the Propelling Our World program for our school.
Great. It's always really great to get positive feedback when you've worked so hard on a project. So I'm super glad you guys got positive feedback from that. How about you, Kari?
Yeah, we did a little survey. We sent out a Google link to a form and asked people just 4 simple questions. And, I promise you more than 5 people answered the survey. We had over 90% of people say that they had a positive experience and that they had learned something as a family. And that was so gratifying. I think another success is that well, to stereotype for a second, sometimes it's hard to get dads because they tend to have other responsibilities, and it's just harder to find something that fits in their schedule to like bring them onto campus to, you know, work in the library or help with an art project or things like that. But we did a two-pronged thing where there was a live event that you could attend together in the evening, and we had the video available so that you could do it at your own time. And so in the pictures that came back that I requested, by the way, offered prizes for anybody, like a raffle for anybody who sent pictures, so that I was sure to get some. I saw dads, I saw a grandpa, and that was really great because I felt like it was truly the family, working together on the projects. One other thing was that people who hadn't been able to participate in our in-person things, all of a sudden, because of, sports schedules or just work schedules or whatever, all of a sudden I had a whole different group of people who were like, hey, I can do this because I can do it on my own time. And so honestly, even when we find ourselves in a, post-pandemic or back to normal or whatever you want to call it world, there's some really valuable lessons that I learned from being able to provide something in different formats, including a virtual format. And so I'm still kind of pondering like how that works, but it was very gratifying to see that more people could participate. I noticed names that I hadn't seen before, which means more people were participating, not just the same folks. And so I think that doing this STEM Plus Families event really helped us reach some different sectors of people than maybe we have before.
That's awesome. Just a side note, I've seen that in my classroom as well, just different ways of participation in my classroom. So I can totally see that with an event that happened with you guys too. And it's really great to hear that families and more family members and different family members than the typical are joining. That's really cool, and it's really great because they're like, yeah, I can come because it's on the computer now and we can do it at our own pace, and that is so cool. And so I think if we can take a silver lining from the pandemic, we have learned that there's a bunch of opportunities now, online, virtual, like all these different things that we can do, and I think that's really cool, and I'm glad you got to see that with your program. All right, so since you two have done a STEM program at your schools, how about sharing a tip that you would offer to a PTA that is starting to plan to run a STEM program for their school community?
Yeah, so I'll jump in and just say, I think the number one tip I would provide is just really take a look through all the resources, and you will find that this is something anybody can do, whether you have a lot of support or not. You need some support, of course, to pull it off. Okay, don't do it alone. That's the number one tip. Don't do it alone. We're all, if you're here in this session, you're the kind of person that wants to get stuff done, and you could do it alone, but don't do it alone. But the materials, are so great. You could really just take them and drag and drop them into your event and just like have everything done, for you other than presenting it, putting it out there, getting the materials, from your own local stores and stuff. But you'll also find, I think, that as you look through the materials, it'll help you. It's kind of like the editing process where sometimes it's easier to edit than it is to create, right? So you'll go, okay, this works, this doesn't, this works, this doesn't, and it'll just help jog ideas for you so that when you're done looking through all the materials, you'll either know, okay, I'm going to use all of this, or I'm going to use half of this, or whatever works for you. Like you'll be able to trust your instincts on what's going to work for your school community. But the resources are such a great place to help you think through all of that.
Awesome. Thank you, Terry.
Right. And to build on what Kari was saying, I think that key for our school was to be able to take what we needed from those and to use that, because what worked for her school or someone else's school might not work as well for our school. So I think what my tip is, don't be afraid, don't be afraid to use the materials, to use what you need, and to add your own creativity as a PTA and with coordinating with teachers and others in your school, and make it what it needs to be to meet your students where they are and meet their needs.
Awesome.
I'd just add to maybe like this. I think this was a challenge of doing it virtually, but it's making sure that your presenters stop to check for understanding, and also possibly, like for our school, we have a K-6 school. You want your families to do it together, but it was a little challenging for our youngers because the littles needed a little more time with, the hand-eye coordination and the fine motor skills and some of those kinds of things. But the bigs, were ready to move. And so that may be just a challenge of the virtual nature of what we did, but looking out for things like that. And that's the kind of thing where your teachers can really, really help monitor that process,
Yeah, awesome. So what I'm hearing is you guys used the resources from PTA to do your STEM programs at your schools. But at times you guys kind of like manipulated them, if you will, to fit with your school community and what would work best with your school community. Did I hear that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I think that's great. I think National PTA has provided resources for these STEM programs to ensure that if you have no idea what you're doing, this is the first time that you've done it, you guys are set. But if this is something that you're used to doing, you can also kind of use it as a guideline and then take it and do what you need in order to make the STEM program a success for your school, because you guys know your school the best. We can't tell you what would work best for your school, right? You guys know. You guys are the professionals in your school, and you guys know your community. You know exactly what will give and what will take for your community. So
Danny, I could provide like a little example of how that worked out. So for instance, there are some great activities that are provided and videos that are provided. My teachers looked at that and they said, well, those are great, and I would like to pick some different activities that I'm more comfortable presenting. Now, if I had been doing the presenting, okay, I would have used exactly what was presented because I know how to learn and I know how to present, but I'm not a science teacher. I don't feel like that's my wheelhouse, right? But I could have taken the materials provided by National PTA and could have done a STEAM night without even if I couldn't have found a teacher to help me lead the sessions, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. And I it's just great to know that like it's kind of at whatever level you guys are at, right? It's if you need all of the assistance, you take that packet of resources and you run with it. If you just need the resources kind of as a guideline, you kind of pick and choose what you need. That's perfect too. So it's kind of a great resource for you, or a pack of resources for you guys to use at whatever level and your comfort level as a PTA and the planning you have to go with it. So thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much for participating with us and answering some questions and giving some insight about the STEM program that you guys did at your school. It's really neat to hear after the aftermath of all the great things that you guys saw and what you guys used to do your planning and all of that good stuff. And it's just nice to hear the success that you guys had with your programs as well. And I think that gives hope to everyone that if you guys had success in this crazy world right now, that anyone can do it, right? We're all in this together. And I'm so glad you guys had success with your programs.
Thank you.
Thanks. It was a very gratifying experience and a wonderful opportunity to participate in community with our school population.
Yes, definitely. And I think it was probably super great for the community as well, since everyone was stuck at home for so long. Just, I mean, having some sort of interaction was probably the best thing in the world. So thank you again, ladies, for participating with us.
All right, everyone. Sorry for that pause. I was taking myself off of mute. All right, that was so wonderful. Great conversation. Ditto to everything that was said. And I'm so glad that you all were able to utilize the resources. Again, they are available. I am going to make sure all the links that you need are in the chat so that you can just click and go see all the wonderful things and all the goodies that we have. Oops, hold on, I'm trying to move us forward here. All right, so again, I'll send you the links to where you can find a lot of the information that we went over during this workshop. And we definitely want to make sure that you stay up to date with all the latest resources that we have available. So as you can see, STEM Plus Families is not the only program and not the only opportunities that we have for our PTAs and families. You may recognize some of the programs and opportunities that we have here. A couple of our other initiatives are listed here. And so just how we talked about the resources and materials we have for STEM Plus Families, there are similar resources, if not the same kinds of resources for these other programs that you see here. We have our PTA Connected program, which is our online safety program. Excuse me. That program also has materials and resources that you can use to do events in your school community, from home, and in your general neighborhood, in your general community. We have healthy lifestyle programs and opportunities. You guys hopefully know about our School of Excellence program and our Reflections program. There's also family reading experience program that we have that highlights literacy. So again, our department, the Programs and Partnerships Department, is responsible for a lot of the initiatives and opportunities that you see here. And so same kind of resources are available across these opportunities. And as we wrap up, you all, I wanted to thank you all for attending. I want to give a special shout out to our awesome PTA leaders who graciously agreed to join us for our workshop. Thank you so much, you guys. Danny, of course, you know you're a rock star, as I always say, our star teacher that supports national PTA through her volunteer efforts. So thank you so much. And again, thank you all for joining us for this workshop. You can reach out to me at the contact information that you see here. It's my work email. Definitely hit me up if you have questions, if you have feedback. We're here for you, and we're here to support the STEM efforts that you want to make in your school community. So thanks again, everyone, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the workshop.